Good afternoon, Knicks Nation. Today is Wednesday, the 4th day of June, 2024. I hope you're safe and healthy today. Hope your family is safe and healthy and that the needs of you and your family in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health are being met today. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field, along with the first responders who every day are trying their best to save lives, and those that pick up garbage to keep our places clean, and those that make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women that are trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover the teenagers and children that are unfortunate victims of child molestation and pedophilia, people that are victims of pornography, child pornography, prostitution, child prostitution, human trafficking, and sex slavery. Double curses on the perpetrators, the profiteers, and the perverts that create the demands that cause these industries to exist. Finally, double blessings on the homeless, more than 700,000 men, women, children, families, senior citizens, and veterans homeless in the United States of America. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. So, as we are now aware, Knicks Nation, Tom Thibodeau was relieved of his duties yesterday. I'm going to put in the description box an article written by Ian Begley about what happened, about the process, because the speculation is driving me crazy. I mean, people are speculating all kinds of stuff, and some of it is so outlandish, it's ridiculous. So instead of all of that, Ian wrote a really good article explaining the whole situation. Basically, there was a meeting. It was not exactly an exit interview, but it was a meeting to evaluate the team. And that evaluation included all of the coaching staff, including Tom Thibodeau. At this evaluation, from what Ian Begley is reporting, and let me just read it as he reported it so we don't get confused. Let's see. It says, let me see. The Knicks conducted a review of players and coaches. It's under the heading Meeting of the Minds. The Knicks conducted a review of players and coaches in the post-mortem of the season. This is not a comment. The setup of these meetings was different than the traditional exit meeting. Based on what I know, this is Ian Begley, so he still has the wise men chops in some of these cases. I would trust him on this. Based on what I know, so he's not guessing, these exit meetings are traditionally conducted by the leading executive. Each player meets individually with the top executive. Sometimes other front office members are present. I've heard of at least 2 instances where the head coach was present. But this assessment was different. It didn't involve all the players. Only a select few were interviewed. I believe Thibodeau was interviewed as well as members of his coaching staff. Dolan was present as well. So this was less an exit meeting and more of an assessment of what went wrong and what needed to be fixed. Obviously, the end result was Thibodeau getting let go. So that's what it was. There were no specific names mentioned, and I don't want to hear your guesses about who you think was in there. That's irrelevant. What is that they had a meeting, they evaluated, and at the end of that meeting, in which some players were present, didn't say who, it was decided that Tom Thibodeau would be fired. Also, Begley also mentions here, okay, let me also go back up in this article a little bit more. Let's see. He mentions here under Leon Rose's call. The decision ultimately was Rose's to make, so it wasn't Dolan. I heard Dolan's all over this. No, he's not. He let go of the operations of the Knicks to Leon Rose as soon as he hired Leon Rose. So this was Leon Rose's decision. The decision was ultimately Rose's to make. Yes, owner James Dolan supported the decision to fire Thibodeau. I understand based on past history why Knicks fans would think Dolan was being heavy-handed here. He has a long history of getting overly involved in basketball decisions. For what it's worth, I think he stopped forcing his executives to make decisions once Phil Jackson came aboard as team president. Dolan obviously cares about all the moves made and holds the teams to a high standard, but he didn't force Rose to make a decision that the team president wasn't comfortable with. If Rose wanted to fire Thibodeau, let me rephrase that. This is important. If Rose did not want to fire Thibodeau, he would have resigned alongside his head coach on Tuesday. He didn't do that, which tells you that he wasn't forced to do anything against his will. So, and he also mentioned earlier in the article that on at least 2 other occasions, Thibs was on a hot seat. And Rose told Dolan that he was sticking by Thibs. And that if they decided to fire Thibs, Rose would have quit too. So it was those other 2. He mentioned the instance where the Knicks lost in the last minute to Dallas on Luka Doncic's missed foul shot. And another instance that Thibs was on a hot seat and Rose stuck by Thibs. And so this was the Don's decision, okay? And Don we trust. This was the Don's decision. Now, and I really don't like people coming on my channel saying, well, we never won a championship with Thibodeau. That's bullcrap, and it's disrespectful. I don't take disrespect to Thibodeau on my channel. Especially some people love to be hiding in the weeds and coming with this BS in the worst time. You know, those are the type of characters I don't want around me, and I don't want on my channel. Thing is, every place Thibodeau has gone, his teams win. Okay? Now, what the problem is that he is abrasive. He has his way of doing things. He has his own game plan. He don't want to be told how to do it. I don't blame him. He has been winning every place he went, including the Knicks. He turned the Knicks from a laughingstock into one of the most best teams in the NBA. Literally, the Knicks were the top 4 in the NBA this past season, in the whole NBA, because they were the final 4 in the Eastern Conference Finals, okay? He has done that every place he has went because he's hard-nosed and he's tough and he's gruff and he don't like to be told what to do. Hey, everybody has this stuff. I, as a fan of more than 50 years of the Knicks, am looking for results. I don't care how stubborn he is. I don't care how he plays 7 or 8 players. I don't care if he wants to stick with the way he does things. Can we win? And over the last 5 years, we have seen a progression of the Knicks, starting with Alfred Payton and Reggie Bullock as his guards, and his best offensive weapon, a one-handed spinning Julius Randle, and finishing up with Karl-Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson, both All-NBA and All-Star. I give him all the credit for that. It's him that turned Josh Hart into the Swiss Army knife, okay, and getting double-digit rebounds and huge rebounds and crowd. It's Tom Thibodeau, okay, that did all that. So I give him all the credit. Does his brash way of doing things could cost him a job? Yes. I'm sure it cost him in Chicago, Minnesota, and now New York. But I do believe very strongly, if given one more year, we would be in the championship next year, okay, with the same team because of the continuity. Now, again, it did not say which players were involved with any negative comments, but it is quite obvious to anybody that's paying attention when Jalen Brunson was publicly asked about Tom Thibodeau, he did not take it well. And he said, is that a real question? And he said, the answer is yes. He is the right man to go forward. Now, that was a few days ago, and now we know Thibs is fired. But I'm going to believe what Jalen Brunson said. He supported Tom Thibodeau, okay? Him and his daddy have known Thibs for most of Brunson's life, okay? So it wasn't Brunson, obviously, that made any negative thing about Tom Thibodeau. I don't think it was Josh Hart either, because Hart loves Thibs. They have big fights on the sideline, but that's just 2 dudes that fight and get it over with and move on. Okay? That's how you do things. And so Hart loves Thibs. Thibs loves Hart. Been shown that way since Hart arrived here from Portland. So I don't think it was them 2. So what I will say, though, is this took a lot of balls from Leon Rose. This team is already built in championship mode. The championship window is open. It's going to stay open for about 3 seasons. There is precedent, for people getting fired. I mean, Dwayne Casey gets fired, they win a chip the next year. Mark Jackson gets fired. Here comes Steve Kerr, they win the chip the next year. Whoever the coach was in Cleveland before he got fired, and Ty Lue came in, and they win the championship. So there is precedent for this. You get a team that's ready-made for the championship, that's built, and the blueprint is set. I mean, the Golden State Warriors had Mark Jackson's thumbprint all over that team when Steve Kerr came in and turned it into a champion the next year. Okay? And then, of course, Toronto was built by Dwayne Casey and Masai Ujiri, and then come Nick Nurse, and they add Kawhi Leonard, subtract out the DeRozan championship. Okay, so you take, like I said, to win a championship in the NBA is very difficult, and you need the ball to bounce your way. And I just explained to you how that worked in those cases. Well, right now, as of right now, speaking to you on Wednesday, it's the afternoon. It's a little before 3 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time on Wednesday. My number one choice would have been Ime Udoka. That's why the other day, if you go back to what I was saying yesterday, I said there may be a coach that's working for somebody else that they'd be interested in. I didn't want to name anybody because they're not available technically. But the Knicks, from what Begley had mentioned, even here, he mentioned Ime Udoka. And, that would be my first choice, because every place he goes, whether it's the Celtics or Houston, these teams are known for toughness and grit and defense. And that's what I want in New York, toughness and grit. And I don't want no softness. I don't want nobody that's too soft to get this thing done. I need somebody with toughness and grit. And he would demand respect. He's a modern version of Tom Thibodeau. It was like Tom Thibodeau was outdated and all this BS. Well, Udoka's in the modern game, but he's Tom Thibodeau also. He got that same vibe. So, but from what I'm looking at right now, it appears to me that Houston is telling the Knicks, no way we letting this guy go. Okay? And unless Udoka pushes, it ain't going to happen. So I think Udoka is going to stay in Houston, and I can't blame Houston. That's a great coach right there. So I think that's the case. Forget your college coaches. I don't give a crap what Pitino said. Jay Wright ain't coming here. Neither is any college coach. Dan Hurley, whoever Wonder Boy from college. We need somebody that knows how to drive a Benz, a brand new Benz, that's driven before. Okay? Not no college coach used to dealing with snotty-nosed kids in college. We need a dude that's been in the league, that know what it's like. We need a dude that's been in New York, preferably. So we talked about Michael Malone. But from looking at Begley, my understanding is he's not high on the list. In fact, looking at this same article, people in touch with the team recently also downplayed the idea of Mike Malone being a slam dunk hire. So, yeah, I don't think so. But they definitely... like Ime Udoka, understand that. And apparently Jason Kidd also. Another thing about Kidd. Kidd has played for the Knicks. He's coached in Brooklyn with high expectations. In Dallas. I consider him a basketball genius, both how he played the game and how he coaches the game. So I like Jason Kidd. I think he'd be very good. But if they were to take Jason Kidd, one thing about him, he's different than Thibs in personality, but he is very stubborn. He has his way of doing things, and like Thibs, he don't like to be told nothing. Okay? He may appear a little bit easier, but no, that's a reed that might bend but don't break. I'm just warning y'all. But I will say, between Jason Kidd and Johnnie Bryant, I'm going to take Udoka off the list because Houston ain't letting him go. I think they've made that plain. I don't think we're going to be dealing with a Mike Brown right now. Frank Vogel, no. Monty Williams, no. Jeff Van Gundy, they just like to bring it up because he used to coach the Knicks, but I don't think so. I like the Jason Kidd possibility. My problem with Johnnie Bryant is not that he has not earned his chance. He has. He was 4 years next to Thibodeau on the Knicks bench as associate head coach. He has earned his chance, and he was over there in Utah for a number of years as well. And then, of course, recently in a very successful campaign with Cleveland. So he has earned his chance. As of today, Phoenix has picked Bot, whatever his name is. They picked him as their new head coach. So Bryant is not getting that job. So Bryant is definitely in the running. Okay, Bryant is definitely in the running. So we can't say that he's out. Johnnie Bryant is definitely a candidate. I would say it depends on what Jason Kidd wants. What do I mean by that? I don't think anybody would blame Jason Kidd after Dallas let Jalen Brunson get away. They traded Luka Doncic. And then they let, Quentin Grimes go to Philly. I don't think anybody would blame Jason Kidd if he said, listen, I need a fresh start. I need to get out of here. I don't think they would hold him based on that. So if Jason Kidd wanted out of Dallas, he could get out. And the Knicks could pay whatever they wanted him to pay, whatever they wanted to pay to get him out of his contract. So, and they would pay him handsomely also. So, and I like Jason Kidd because Jason Kidd has, of course, him being a Hall of Fame level point guard. And he got robbed one year at the MVP. Shaq got the MVP one year, and even Shaq said this should be Jason Kidd's MVP. Jason Kidd was so dominant that particular year, when he took the New Jersey Nets, which wasn't even Brooklyn yet, to the finals. Okay, so he knows how to handle point guards, and we got one, right? And Jalen Brunson. I could see him and Rick Brunson working together very well, in terms of game planning and stuff like that for Jalen. He also, they drafted some youngins and they got them to the finals. They lost, but they got them to the finals against Boston. And I didn't think that Dallas team was that good. But he got the most out of his guys. That's why I like him. A guy like Kidd that could get the most out of his players. And his track record with point guards is really good. I don't know. So to me right now, your two leading candidates are Johnnie Bryant and Jason Kidd. I don't care either way. I like Kidd better, but I'll support Bryant. My problem with Bryant is he's never been a head coach. Got to get his chance at some point. He's been in New York, so I got to give him that. But me, myself, and this is just me, again, I'm interested in results. I don't care if he's soft looking or if he's hard or whatever. Does he win? That's all I care about. Does he win? Okay? I don't care how stubborn he is or whatever. People be tripping on that personality stuff, need to calm down with that. Does he win? We was just in the Eastern Conference Finals. Okay, Tom Thibodeau brought us there. You better bring in somebody that could get us back there. That's all I'm saying. But Johnnie Bryant, I wouldn't mind giving him a chance. He's earned it. But we'll see. We'll see. Like I said, to me, it's two guys. It's Johnnie Bryant and Jason Kidd. I think we'll find out before 4th of July. I'm pretty sure we will. They're going to take their time. But I think we'll find out before 4th of July. I would be surprised if it was Michael Malone. Michael Malone is in the same cloth as Tom Thibodeau. It's cut in the same cloth. Now, Michael Malone is more flexible and he is more adapted to the modern game. If you look at the stats from his Denver Nuggets teams, he plays 10 guys. Okay? And obviously with the Joker, he knows how to get that done properly because they do have a chip. But I don't know. I think if they're going to if they're losing Tom Thibodeau, they probably want somebody completely different that the players respect. Everybody respects Jason Kidd. He's worked with Brunson before, obviously. So both the Brunsons. So he knows them very well. He's got a great track record. Yeah. So I'm thinking it's going to be Jason Kidd or Johnnie Bryant, and we'll find out very shortly who it is. Yeah. So yeah, that's what we're coming down to, and that's how it went down. Apparently, they had a meeting, evaluated everybody, and based on their evaluations, they decided Thibs should go. And it does happen sometimes. You get to a Thibs in his fifth year. And like I mentioned the other day, okay, so Boston has, they had Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, right? So by the time you get, they had, those two had gotten they got the most mileage out of those two prior to acquiring Kristaps Porzingis. Porzingis was that piece that only needed to play 50-something games to get them over the top, which is why they won the chip a year ago. I think the Knicks decided they got the most mileage they could get out of Tom Thibodeau. I don't necessarily agree, but my opinion don't mean crap. The Don make his decisions based on his decisions. And so I support what the Don does. Much as I hated to see Thibs go, as much as I saw another progression in his pocket coming, they obviously didn't see it that way. And I know Thibs don't take no crap. And I love that about him. Like, you don't take it, you want to do your way, I'll walk, right? And listen, the boy gonna get $30 million regardless. He good. So I don't feel sorry for him. I'll take $30 million to lay on the beach somewhere with a margarita. Hell yeah. But anyway, yeah, it's gonna come down to Jason Kidd or Johnnie Bryant. They're not gonna hire Mark Jackson. I would be surprised. That's the only other guy I would want. Atkinson is taken, and now he's lost two of his assistants. I'm sure he'll pick up somebody else. Udoka's out because Houston ain't letting him go. Don't blame him. Forget the college coaches. That's out. So here we are. Yeah, and I think either of those two guys, Johnnie Bryant and Jason Kidd, will have an immediate respect of the team, and both of those guys have a good shot of getting us to that next step. Yeah, so that's where we're at. We were going to be discussing Jalen Brunson in more detail today, but obviously the news cycle changed that. So right now, I would not be surprised within the next 4 weeks, we get an announcement that it's either Jason Kidd or Johnnie Bryant. If it's Jason Kidd, the Knicks are going to have to give him some compensation. That's why you got deep pockets Dolan behind you, because he could just sign that off. He's willing to pay Tom Thibodeau $30 million to chill for 3 years. Okay? So he got money like that. If you got it like that, you got it like that. And Dolan got it like that. So whatever the Dallas would ask, they'll pay. And then we move on with life. Okay? So look up, Knicks Nation. We got hope because the blessing is the Don knows what he's doing. You got a front office that don't make a lot of mistakes. They got good candidates available. I mean, even if Michael Malone and Brown, who I don't like Brown. I've never really liked Brown as a head coach, Michael Brown. I don't like him. But he's successful, and he was pretty good. He was successful with Sacramento. There was a time when LeBron was young, he caused Mike Brown to be fired, when they was in Cleveland. But that was a long time ago. But I've never really liked Mike Brown. But anyway, is what it is. I do like Taylor Jenkins. I'm going to say he's a long shot. He's probably a long shot. And I like him for the same reason. I like Thibs for the same reason. I wanted Ime Udoka. Tough, roughneck dude. Brings that panache to his team. They're going to play defense. They're going to be tough. That's Taylor Jenkins. Okay? I like him. So we'll see. But again, I'm just saying probably Johnnie Bryant or Jason Kidd will be your next guy. Y'all enjoy your Wednesday. We'll talk again. So